Hey there, this is Beth Lauren Parrish with Inspired Riding. I'm a remote coach and certified riding instructor. I encourage equestrians to find their mojo so they can feel calm, confident, and connected to their horses. In this podcast, I'm going to talk to you about some injuries I've had recently and how I've dealt with them and what they've taught me. Back in July 2017, I was just going about my day. I had a few horses I needed to train, as well as ride my own horses, and a few lessons as well. And that was a typical day for me. I would often ride a few, teach a few, sometimes go to another barn and then teach a couple more. So I was extremely active. And on top of that, I also worked at my barn to help keep the cost down on the board. So I was moving around a lot, and there were days that I would get just a little bit tired, and that's totally normal when you're doing that level of activity. So that day, I decided I was going to start with my horse, Indy, and he's a very sensitive thoroughbred, and we had been working a lot on his training and dressage, and he was doing beautifully. He has a really long history. I could probably do a whole other podcast just on him. But in any case, he was doing okay that day. And then there was a moment halfway through the ride where he kind of stopped and started to turn his head, and he acted like he didn't want to do anymore. And I was debating whether I wanted to keep going. But I decided I'll just try to push him through and ride for just a little bit longer. So I was going around the corner, and sure enough, he spooked at something. And next thing you know, I'm flying through the air. And I remember aiming towards the ground with my head, and I just kept saying to myself, feet, feet, feet. So I tried to land on my feet, but it was such a hard landing that my left leg went to the left, and I tore my knee, the two ligaments in my knee, the ACL and MCL. And thank goodness my husband was right there. He was just about to start filming me, actually, because it felt good and then it didn't. And he was able to take care of my horse and get me to the hospital. But I remember when I was sitting there, the pain was so extreme. I said three things. I said, I think I broke my leg. Please make the pain stop. Please catch my horse. So thank goodness he was there to help take care of me. And I got to the hospital, and I thought right away I was going to need surgery. So I was telling the nurses I was ready, and they were kind of like, okay, well, we need to x-ray everything. So sure enough, they said, well, you're going to have to go see an orthopedic, and it might be a little while because the swelling has to go down. I was prepared to have surgery that night, but that wasn't going to happen. And so they just gave me some painkillers and sent me on my way, and I had to wait 2 more days just to go see an orthopedic surgeon. And they wanted to have an MRI. So then I had to go do that in all this pain. And it was just heart-wrenching because I was doing so well with my horses and my training business, and everything just came to a screeching halt. So finally got a plan going, and I needed to actually do a month's worth of physical therapy in order to get my mobility back and get the swelling to go down before they'd even open me up to fix the ligaments. And sure enough, I had torn both of them to where I needed a replacement. I had a cadaver part put in as well as a metal anchor. So it was pretty extensive surgery that I had done, and that was a month later in August. So I found an amazing physical therapist and was really doing well and pushing myself to get as well as I could be. And thank goodness I had a lot of support with my friends and family, and especially my husband. And we ended up actually moving to another state so he could work more. And once we got there, I found another physical therapist who actually rode horses and knew exactly what I needed to do in order to get back in the saddle. And she was so wonderful. She gave me so much hope and pushed me to where I needed to be. And I was getting so much closer to actually being able to ride. And then February 2018, exactly 6 months after the surgery on my knee, I happened to be rushing about in the house, and I was about to go out with my husband to run some errands, and he was in the car already getting things organized, where I just happened to slip on a dog bone on the very slick tile floor, and as I fell, I felt this pop, and I started screaming immediately, and sure enough, I broke the femur on the same leg as my knee, and I don't even want to get into the pain of that, but it was horrendous. And I ended up staying on the weekend of Super Bowl weekend, waiting for that Monday for the staff to get together to do surgery on that part of me. So now I have a 9-inch plate in my leg, as well as the anchor in my knee. So I feel like the bionic woman now. And that goes with my arm that I had done in 2002. I have a metal plate there. So it's been most interesting and also heart-wrenching that I've had all these things happen at once. But I want to tell you how I've actually learned from them and how I've been able to move on from them. So first off, I really feel like these injuries have pushed me past my comfort zone in so many ways. Well, one is that literally I had to push past my pain, especially during physical therapy, because the more I moved, it actually made it better. And it was just this constant up and down of feeling like things would get better and then it would hurt again. And I just had to realize that that's just the wave of life. You just have to move with it. So the other thing I learned was that going slower is actually a beautiful gift. The horses like it so much more. And they don't like when we rush around, as it creates like a hurried sense and it just disturbs their energy. So the more I accept that going slow and being more mindful helps my horses and helps my time with them, the more I can relax about it. My sadness of not being the way I used to be begins to fade. And I've also learned it's important to share my experience with others, which is why I'm doing this podcast, as it helps during their hard times and lets you know that you're not alone. I've made so many friends this year just from sharing my experiences online, and I'm super grateful. And it's also helped me to be even more compassionate about serious injuries because they truly alter our lives. And it makes us really take a step back and think about what's going on and how we can make shifts to make things better. And finally, I've really learned how to honor my body and give it just what it needs. Our healing capacity is absolutely amazing. And it actually really requires us to push past our comfort zone and also makes us think about resting more. And I've also done a lot of alternative modalities to help, where my husband is a Reiki master, where it's basically like energy work. And we describe it as acupuncture without the puncture, where he just sends energy and light to what we call the potholes in the body, and he fills it with light, and then it makes you feel a lot better. And we do that with the horses too. And then the other different modality I've used is sound healing. I have a dear friend in Austin, Texas, who does sound healing sessions. And it's been one of the most profound healing sessions I've ever had in my life. And I've done 2 of them with her now. And she even has YouTube videos. So you can contact me and I can give you her info. But just laying there and letting the sound wave over you. She has all different things that she uses. It's just the most incredible feeling. And then it was like the next day, everything started to move better. And then finally, I also use CBD oil, hemp oil, and that's been incredible. It helps with inflammation for myself, and it helps with a lot of things. And everyone's experience is a little different, but if you ever want info on that, I can send that to you as well. So there you go. That's just a little bit of my story. I've had a lot of other things happen, as most people have, but I just wanted to share that with you. And of course, now I'm just starting to ride a little bit here and there. I can ride for about 10 minutes and then I start to get sore. And that's something that I've also had to learn to accept, that this process is a process and it's going to take time. And I just have to be okay with that. So being able to connect remotely with my students and help them with videos has been amazing, as well as the animal communication sessions that I can do. So I feel like it can still contribute to the world, even though I might not be able to move around as quickly as I used to. So I hope this helped you, and feel free to reach out. Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening, and may the horse be with you always.